and Raheem, who I talk about having connection with the disappearing discomfort, and our friend Yvette was there, and this guy Tony, who lives in the Bronx. He was there as well. He's a consultant. And so Raheem and I were talking when he was driving home to Michigan. He had quite a long drive, and it was 10:30 at night. And he texted me, so I knew he was up. And I said, I'm just going to call him and say hi. Because I know what it's like for me when I drive into the wee hours and everybody's in bed. You can't call up anybody at 10:30 at night and say, hey, how's it going? Just called to say hi.
Right.
Maybe people that live on the other coast, I guess. So I thought, let me just call him and say hi. We had an amazing conversation, some of which I'm going to talk about today, some of the ahas and epiphanies that I've had. So that's when he talked about the fact that he sees me as one of the 4 elements and that I should look to see who in my life represents the other 3. And he feels like he represents water, that he is the water element, and that you, Heather, are the earth element. And he feels like that's why the 2 of you have such a large role in my life. Mm. And he said I should start looking for the other 2. He said, but actually, I see you as fire. Mm. And I said, I don't really see me as anything. I'm not really drawn to fire. I'm not really drawn to anything. But I'll tell you, the last couple of weeks has been kind of a roller coaster for me because I haven't really felt like anything. When these 4 amazing transformational people were in my house, I felt amazing myself. But when they left, I kind of went back into this funk that I had been in, and I didn't really know what caused it. I didn't really know how to get out of it. Writing wasn't helping. Being out in nature wasn't helping. Reiki wasn't helping. Nothing was helping. I'm happy to say that yesterday morning, my mom actually took me through a visualization that I was finally able to come out of it. Thank goodness. And what I've come to realize is that I have always in my life had a lot of protection in my life. We've talked about the ancestor before. That was a type of protector that I kind of created when I was a kid. And I have a lot of protection in my life, but I also create protection on my own. And one of the things that I've used to create protection is fear. Fear keeps me from stepping too far outside my comfort zone so that I stay protected and safe. And the visualization I did with my mom had to do with removing the fear. And it was very cool. She was the one really filling in all the information because I couldn't see anything. I was just in darkness. And then she would say, I see bright, sparkly gold light. I'm like, oh, okay, I see that too. But until she put it in the space, I couldn't even see it. And she said, I see a group. I see all these beings around you. And I didn't see them at all. But what I did start to see, almost kind of like my eyes were bugging with my eyes closed, I started to see a mercury-like substance lapping toward me, like waves, but not water. It was very thick like mercury. And that was all I could see. And at one point she said, look up above the waves. There's this circle of people, this circle of protectors all around you. They're surrounding. There's so many of them. I can't even believe how many of them there are. And I could sort of kind of see shadows, but I really wasn't able to see what she was seeing. And so then we did some more work. What ended up happening was I finally was able to see this community of protectors hovering above me. And I was able to kind of raise myself up all during this visualization. The mercury then came back, but instead of lapping toward me and just kind of knocking against me like a wave would in the ocean, it started to go down into the hole that was in the earth, just kind of falling into this big sinkhole, crater, crevasse in the earth. And out of that grew a tree, almost as though everything that this mercury-like substance represented was growing into this tree so it could be housed inside something other than myself. And what we did as part of the exercise is we petrified the tree so as to lock it all in there. And I'll tell you, for the first time in weeks, I finally felt light. I finally felt released from whatever it was. She said she felt like it was fear. You and I talked about it a little bit, and you wondered if maybe I had some, darkness kind of hanging around me. I don't know what it was, because that's definitely happened to me before, but I feel a difference. The other thing I want to share, though, is from that conversation, I have been able to have some new insights. And one of the insights that I've had is that I am a super strong and powerful individual. And I'll tell you that that's something that I've glimpsed and probably even talked about on the podcast in really vulnerable moments, but I'm usually not willing to own. And so I'm working on owning that. One of the reasons I don't want to own it is because I know it makes people uncomfortable. And so I'm working on owning that. But I have this thing that I do, and this is the part where I needed the courage to talk about it. So I've moved around a lot. We've talked about that. But one of the skills that I've come to have because of all the moving around that I've done is that I'm kind of a chameleon. And so when I'm around groups of people or strong people, I tend to take on their essence as though it's mine. And it's not in an insecure way or an insincere way. It's like I take on their energy almost. Not that I become them or try and be them. My epiphany is I don't know who I am when I'm around others. When I'm by myself, I can be fully in my power. But when I'm around others, I don't know what's me and what's the energy of others that I take on so that I can make other people feel comfortable and fit in and create a very comfortable space for other people. So if I seem a little weird, it's because I don't know how to be and I'm trying not to be you.
Literally me, or the you who's ever sitting across from you in a group and wherever you are?
Both. Because right now I'm with you.
Right. Great.
So that's what I wanted to share.
Great.
And I love that my Healing Angel card said, do it.
Do it.
And my Doreen Virtue Goddess Guidance card said, do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the Hathor card, which is also Egyptian, by the way,
right,
just like the Sekhmet card.
Mm-hmm.
And that one says, be open to what you receive, because then you can give more. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons I was a little hesitant to talk about this is because you're one of the people that I'm very good at melding with,
mm-hmm,
which creates a similarity between the two of us. And then you know what you did? Right before we started, you pulled one last card right off the top. And you know what it is? This card is Lakshmi, Bright Future. Lakshmi is an Indian goddess. I only mention that because Rahim is Indian, and he was the one that kind of brought up the elements. So I feel like he's really present in this podcast right now. And it says, stop worrying. Everything is going to be fine. Bright future.
And I said that was our group card.
And that was
our
the team card for
card.
today. Yeah.
Team card.
And we don't usually have a team card, so
no.
I love that you pulled that card.
Intuition said, grab that card.
Love it.
Can I also share Hathor is also an Egyptian goddess.
Mm-hmm.
So the two together.
Sekhmet and Hathor.
And she's represented by the head of a cow, Earth, to symbolize the sacred animal's life-giving milk and mothering.
Earth.
Mm-hmm. Which is also funny because Hathor is a benevolent sky and sun goddess who helps with all aspects of child conception, birthing, and raising.
Mm.
Funny that the earlier conversation included that. And call upon Hathor to guide you in nurturing yourself and your loved ones.
Nice.
Even my previous career as a social worker, my whole thing was in parents and children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a podcast where that was discussed in great length because that was your whole background. That was what you were called to be in this world for your career.
Yeah.
You worked with children and kids, and that's completely on purpose.
Totally.
Yeah.
Congratulations for being courageous and vulnerable.
Thanks.
I'm here to support you in that journey.
Great.
And then I share a little, hangnail that I want to flick off.
Okay.
Which is, I also think it's partially normal of spending time with people that we pick up each other's stuff sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So not that we're different with different people, but I find myself saying things that you say.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so fun. That's Trista.
Totally.
So I think that happens because energy just exchanges. However,
absolutely. Like two women getting on the same cycle after being together for a while.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that you're exploring the essence of you, because what I hear you saying as you were sharing that story is getting comfortable with your special essence.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you have or hadn't declared your special essence, but it really feels like you're delving into your special to find what it truly is.
Yeah. I'm not going to, I'm sure I'll have setbacks, but my goal, my declaration, my intention is not to hide who I am to make other people feel comfortable. I'm going to be me and know that the people who are attracted to that will come around me because they feel comfortable. And it's a complete paradigm shift, and I'm very, nervous and excited to see how it looks as I go through the journey.
I love it.
Yeah.
It reminds me that another friend was sharing something similar where she feels like she's going through like a personality shift. And then I also think that Elizabeth Peru has a Facebook page and she's a major astrologer. I think she said something too about what's happening in the planets, either Saturn or Uranus, or that the two are happening together, is creating kind of a rediscovery of self, a redefinition of self. And so it's also in the stars a little bit. And I was just talking to my husband this past weekend about how I've always behaved in the past when it comes to kind of speaking up for myself or advocating for myself, and how I'm seeing the shifts in standing my ground more and speaking my truth in moments where I would have just been a wallflower about stuff that bothered me.
Yes.
It's a great time to shift.
It's a great time to shift. So I'm sure we'll be talking a little bit more about it. For now, I'd like to move us into this week's ill.
I think our ill is be you.
What?
Our ill is be you. Be you. Be authentic, be real, be vulnerable in business. As an entrepreneur, it's all based on relationships. And if you're not authentically being who you are, if you're putting on some kind of front, facade, fake face, that's not going to bode well long term. It might get you some short-term gains, but long term, it's hard to keep up a face. And I would say the pro tip, hashtag be
Ill.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Love it.
Totally. Great. I love that.
Yeah.
What a wonderful thing to explore in a future meetup.
We had our meetup on July 23rd. If you missed that, our next meetup is August 27th at 7 o'clock in Kingston. Find us at meetup.com, RSVP, and join us.
Yeah, we'd love to have you part of the discussion. So, great stuff today. Thank you for letting me be vulnerable.
Thank you for being vulnerable.
Absolutely. And so, with that, we will
see you next Tuesday.